Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best you're ever around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
And Ray the Roadie.
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. How you doing today, Ray?
I'm doing good. No coronavirus yet.
No, that's good.
No, I'm doing great. How
good.
about you?
I think I'm well.
Yeah, that's good.
Hopefully I'm well.
I was wondering why you had that plastic bag over your head.
Well, that's to keep the germs away from you.
Maybe I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about a body condom.
It makes it a little hard to breathe, but
A little bit, yeah. So what's on tap this week? What we got going on?
we talked with Lauren Bauer and Jonathan Bauer and Tony Medina of the band Midnight Special, the Midnight Special band, and they're kind of a blues rockin' blues band.
Rockin' blues, funky monkey type thing.
Funky monkey.
Wait, that's ice cream, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't that a Ben and Jerry's?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is Ben and Jerry's.
But they got some interesting stories and how they got together, and they're spread out all over the Chicagoland area. But they get together and do some rock and blues every once in a while.
Yes, they do, and they got a bunch of shows coming up soon. So why don't we get to talking to them and see what's up?
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, we're at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 once again. Joining us today is the band Midnight Special. We've got Tony, John, and Lauren. How you guys doing?
Good. Thank you.
Doing good.
We're great. We're healthy right now.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out.
That's a good thing. Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks to our sponsors, Lysol, for this podcast.
Yes.
And everybody gets a free roll of toilet paper on the way out today. So
Very nice. It's going right on eBay.
that's so
For about $100, right?
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about the band. How did it get started? How long you guys been together? And
Well, I'll refer to John on this one because
Oh, boy.
4 of the members of the band, 2 of which couldn't join us today, were the original group. And this has been going on for over a decade. So
Yes. So myself, the bass player Barzine Vaziri, and Tom Gilman, the drummer, we got together in school, in college. We went to Western. And we graduated in 2007. So during that time, we were all music majors, either education or I had business degree, music business. And so we were all together on that scene, in the department, playing in different ensembles and stuff like that. So we got together as a 3-piece. It was originally myself, Barzine, and Tom. And, we kind of just played whatever we felt like at the time. It was a lot of the classic rock. It was a lot of blues rock, stuff like that, in that vein, straight blues, anything I could really sing.
okay,
Really,
that helps. That
right.
helps. Yeah.
It's like, I can't do that one. I can't do that one. I might be able to do that one. So, but that's how that started. It was really coming from a small town, going to even just a state university. I never knew a bass player, and nor really played with a drummer. I mean, I was probably one of a handful of people in the town that played guitar. So,
What town are we talking about?
Mendota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
just west of here on 34. So, and so that's where we started, and it just I decided when I was a freshman in college, like, well, if I'm going to play, I got to learn how to sing, and that was just that was just something. That was some growing pains. So that's where it all started, and then we all get older, we graduate, we all do our own thing, and we still played throughout that time, and we knew Lauren. Lauren went to school at Western, and she worked at the place we always used to play, and she would come up and sing a few tunes with us. And then it was after we graduated, I called her. I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to sing anymore. Like, are you still around? Like, are you still wanting to play and sing? And it kind of just took off from there. So
I know some of you have some jazz influence, right?
Yeah, so John started sax in high school, right? Grade school. And before that, you did cello.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at 4. He was in an orchestra. So like there's been, and most of the people in the band have similar backgrounds. They're just very disciplined professional musicians, which is really great because, I'm not. So I've learned a lot from them over the years. And yeah, I joined probably 2 years after college. I had gone away abroad for a while. And then when I came back, graduated, and he called me out of the blue. And that's how that whole thing started. And now we're married. So that obviously worked out in several ways.
No.
And then
Was that an offer when he brought you into the band?
it was kind of a contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So, but I really lean on him when we're writing music because although I do play guitar, it's just better for everyone if I don't. So I'll tell him, this is what I'm hearing. You got to help me write this. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And then I want to say, has it been a year already since we've brought on Tony and brought on Andy? But Tony's got a good background too. Like there's been several people that have been on your podcast that Tony's played with in the past. Tony, take it away.
Wake up, Tony. Wake up.
Yeah, I played with Maxwell Mojo, and some of those guys are with Cadillac Groove.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I met John maybe just in the circuit, and Lauren, and got to know them, befriended each other, and some mutual work-related stuff too. I used to work where he currently works, and we just kind of hit it off, and everything's been really good. These guys are great talent to me, and I've been, they're very humble and very modest. These a great professional couple here, and they remind me of your local modern, modern because they're still around too. But anyway, to me, they remind me of the Tedeschi and Trucks.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Similarities because he's a fantastic musician and singer, and he can sing. Don't let him fool you. And,
It took him a while, though. I guess.
yeah. And she's awesome as well. So
Now you've got some. I see you played with Toranzo Cannon.
yeah,
I know Toranzo. Yeah, he's a good dude.
yeah, I shared a stage with him and Mike Wheeler and met some of those other cats. Met James Cotton. He's like a mentor of mine for harmonica player, late James Cotton, and then Billy Branch hung out with him on numerous occasions as well.
So would you say most of your stuff is blues oriented, or yeah?
Yeah, it's definitely rooted there. For
Yeah.
sure. And that's Tony's wheelhouse, is
Right.
the blues. Like, so when we're doing some pretty, what do you call it, low hanging fruit stuff? Yeah. I mean, we let Tony rip, and it's great. And I think, I really appreciate, the compliments, Tony. Thank you for being professional. But at the same time, we're having fun.
Right.
We have day jobs. The crazy thing about our band is we're so spread out. So Barzine, interesting thing about Barzine, he's legitimately one of the strongest people in the world. He's a professional power lifter and an educator.
He looks like a bass player too.
Yeah. And he's an educator. So you can imagine what those kids are thinking. Like, better stay in line with this guy.
Yeah.
But, so, he lives in South Elgin. Tom grew up on the South Side. He lives right across the border in Indiana.
Okay.
And he's a music educator. But the nice thing is, since we've played so long together, is we get more excited about getting a rehearsal together sometimes and working on new stuff. But, we could, if we ever needed to in a pinch, it's like, we got 4 hours of stuff. Let's just go do it.
Right.
And you can count on that with those type of players. And then Andy Schultz, he was introduced to us by Tom. And he's out from, out in Indiana, and I was looking at his profile. I know, Andy does a show on, WDCB and then Lakeshore Public Radio for jazz. It's called Jazz Organic, and it's all, jazz performances on like organ and stuff like that. And he was a saxophone player at Ball State, with emphasis on jazz. And what I understood with Andy, it was after jazz. He's like, I'm going to try this piano thing. And it's like, and he's great. And, he's, it's one of those players that it's like, okay, what key is it in? Where are we going to go? And it's like, and the light bulbs go off, and then we're off to the races. And it's so fun because you don't know what's going to happen. It could go off the rails or it could take off. But that's always fun, especially with this type of music, you know. It's so open and with blues, it could go anywhere. But so, yeah, we're up to what then at full power up at 6 people then in the band. That went from a 3-piece. And the cool thing about Tom as a drummer is he is like, and I don't know, he'll probably correct me if I'm wrong if he hears this. I believe Buddy Rich is a huge influence of his, and you can hear it in his wrists. And he is like lightning. It's incredible. And, you know, he loved drumline and stuff like that. So he's super disciplined, but he's got that trio mentality drummer. But when you throw it on top of 6 people, it's just this wall of sound. And it's when we start getting going on stuff, it's like you're always looking back at him like, whoa, what are you doing?
Well, you need to tell him to check out our interview with Greg Potter.
Oh, cool.
Greg Potter is now the drummer in the Buddy Rich Orchestra.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's pretty good. It's actually our only 2-part podcast we ever did because
Greg likes to talk.
Greg loves to talk.
one of the coolest things I was able to do, I was in college at the time and I was home for break, and one of my former teachers, she's like, I sat in for saxophone. It was this big band dance music stuff. And she's like, we're doing this benefit concert for Louis Bellson. And I'm like, who's Louis Bellson? And then I found out and I'm like, are we ready to do this? Like, is this really going to happen? You know, like the guy who pretty much invented the double bass, right? Mm-hmm. And he was originally from Rock Falls. So we went to Rock Falls. And at the time, I don't know how old he was, but, you know, we had like Sing, Sing, Sing on the chart. And as a joke, he's like, there's a 16-bar break here. We're going to do 72. Like, okay. And we thought he was just joking. Like it's this open vamp, right? And one of the trumpet players, I remember after the gig, he's like, I counted. It was exactly 72 bars. He did this drum solo. It was unbelievable. So it's weird how music brings everyone together. Right. It's the best. It's better than social media. Like getting out there and meeting people through music, and everyone has that common thread and everyone's having fun. And it's unbelievable through 5 degrees of who you might know. It's really crazy.
Well, it's kind
especially
of
in this state too.
What's really interesting is that a lot of the people we have talked to on our podcast, a lot of them have started out like you guys did, like playing cello, playing, you know, an organ or something, and then learning to play the drums or the guitar or something. And you know, Joel Hoekstra, he's lead guitarist from Whitesnake. We interviewed him a while ago. He started at like 3 years old playing cello.
Yeah. I think Barzine, the bass player, we both took the same, they called it the Suzuki string method.
Okay.
And I think he was a violin player too. And, you know, our son Jack, we got him started on that, but we've kind of taken a hiatus from that and working on guitar parts. And
how old is he?
Just turned 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then we have a 2-year-old too. So
got to pass the violin down to the 2-year-old now.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable how small they make these things now.
We actually gave the violin to Barzine's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
We got to a point where we were bribing him with candy to go to the practices, and he's just like not having it. So we're going to take a break from that. But he seems to like the guitar, and it's important to us that we keep it going. So, and to John's point about, you know, just the community around our type of music, the blues, like Tony's in another band as well. He plays actually more with the Hurricane Project than he does with our group, but Al Spears, who organizes that group, he does a jam, which if you haven't, you know, been out or heard about it, it's really great. I think Tony's at the 3rd Thursday of every month.
Yeah, except the long ones. Sometimes there's 5 weeks. It's always the week, Thursday of the week before the last week of the month. Right?
And yeah, he has those at the law office. Have you guys heard of that venue?
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's in Yorkville, and you know what? It's great because I think part of the challenge of being a blues band is like when venues hire you, you know, they want you to play a swing the whole night, and they don't really expect you to go, you know, a little bit slower. And so sometimes you get frustrated because you can't play what you want to play.
Right.
You know, you got to break out the summer of '69, and God, that's painful after 10 years. You know, you're just I'm done with it, right? So the law office has been a
Jesse's
really
girl too, right?
8675309, man. So we love the law office because it's got that kind of refuge for people who want to play their original music, and they have great groups that come through there, and they're always really good about scheduling. But yeah, that's where that blues jam takes place. So if you're not in the city, there's good opportunity for you to come out and check it out.
Look on our website as well, the law office.
Yep. And
Is it right in downtown Yorkville? Or
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They took the old.
Right on 47
Yep.
there, right? Yeah.
It used to actually be a law office, and they changed it and turned it into just a very modest bar with a stage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, real great. So we'll be there next Thursday. But aside from some of the gigs that we have planned, which are just a handful over the summer, that's where we really like to go. Is we like to go to the jams. So whether it's sitting in with another artist that might be in the Chicagoland area, or looking at the schedule for some of those blues events downtown, which can be rough. They do open jams on Sunday nights. It's like, oh God, I got to go to work on Monday and find a sitter and all this. So yeah, but we're out there jamming just as much as we are with gigs.
So you guys do mostly original stuff, or is it? I mean, is there some cover stuff in there?
We have a whole album recorded. It's in the can. We just have to produce it, which is half the battle, right? So we actually went back to the studio 2 weeks ago and we redid one of them, the one that we really liked, and we'll probably have that out here in the next week or two. That tune is a single we call Black Water Rising, and it's really, really swampy. So a lot of slide. We like that real southern gritty kind of blues, like Delta blues sound. But when we're playing, we like to do the obscure stuff that people don't really hear, and we argue about it all the time. Like, well, I want to do A New Day Yesterday live, the whole album. I want to do that. Or I want to do that new song by Marcus King. And people are like, who the hell is Marcus King? So it's kind of like you got to balance it with some of the Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff that people know,
Sure.
and, some B.B. King and Aretha Franklin. And so you got to kind of figure out what that groove is before people just kind of are confused. And
This is a man's world. This is a man's world. This ain't nothing. Oh, nothing without a woman.
Yeah, so regarding like the original stuff, it's really unique process because I can't write a melody. My life depended on it.
this is true.
I mean, I just can't. I can't do it. And then, Lauren, her thing is writing. That's what she went to school for. So, like a good example is the one song that's on the website. This was years ago. We had the song for years, and I remember Lauren came home from work and she goes, "So I wrote this song in the car on the way home," and then she sang it, and I'm like, well, "How the hell do you do that?" Like, I'm the educated one, right?
As high as I go, I fall there far below. And try as I might, this feeling ain't right.
And she always throws that back at me. Like if I say, I got to be really careful with the music lingo. If I say half note, she'll be like, "Oh, stop it with that music talk, you guys," like, or time signature talk, like we're talking in tongues or something. But it's really great. The past couple weeks, she's been cranking out melodies and stuff, and she'll be like, "This is what I'm thinking," and then it's just okay. Then we're down in the basement hashing it out as quietly
Putting
as
it
we
together,
can as
sure.
the kids are trying to sleep. And like, it's supposed to be a rockin' tune, it's like, I can't turn anything up. Those kids are trying to sleep. But it's pretty funny. But it's what's interesting with what we have recorded, and once it's finally done, is I remember looking at Barzine when we tracked everything, And I'm like, did Lauren write like a conceptual blues album and she's not telling us? Or is there something she's trying to tell us? And Barzine, like his eyes, I remember his eyes like bugging out. He says, holy SHIT. He's like, I think she is. You know, this was when we first recorded the stuff in July. She's like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. But yeah, this is the first of you hearing this. It was pretty funny. It's great. We're looking forward to it getting done. I've always been terrified of doing original music because I can't write a melody. So there's this great balance. Everyone knows where to stay in their lane. And then when, you know, Tony started playing with us a little bit more and more, you know, like I said, Lauren has some straight blues stuff that's out on the Facebook, you know, that bow down and out. And this is like, okay, this is where we need to, you know, gas Tony up and let him loose. And it's right in his wheelhouse. So, and then Tony does songs with us as well. We do a couple Muddy Waters tunes and.
See you do Big Legged Woman.
Yeah. Old Freddie King version right there, boy. Yeah.
That's good tune. Good tune.
So, do you play anything, Lauren? In the band or
More cowbell. No, I'm just kidding.
So, like I had said before, like I can play guitar, but I'm not a lead guitar player. That's for sure. Rhythm questionable. But yeah, I can. And I play it every day. I'm just, you know, when you're around like someone like John who's just very, very good, it's hard to call yourself a guitarist. So you're good. You're technically skilled, and I'm not that. I'm not a soloist or anything. I'm more of just a novice guitar player, but I can play. I can hang.
Do you use it? Do you use it a lot in your writing, or do you just write in the car on the way home?
So I use a voice recorder on the Apple iPhone, right? A lot. And then I've discovered this program online called Noteflight. And so it literally allows you to write music, like notate it out, time signatures, everything as either piano sheet music, or you can write bass lines, guitar lines, whatever. So I'll do a lot of that. And it's very time consuming, but it's so much easier than trying to communicate what I'm hearing.
I mean, you just sing it and it comes out, or
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I gotta look. What's it called?
Noteflight.
Noteflight.
Oh, no. You don't sing it and it dictates. You literally write the music. So although I can't play piano and I couldn't tell you where the A note is on a guitar fretboard, I can write music like on using this program. It's been great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And there's a free trial on there. And so that's what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to, and it teaches me a lot too. It teaches me because you can play it back and you can hear, you know, where it sounds right and where it needs to be adjusted. And then you learn why you're adjusting it. And it's neat. So it's helped me out a lot, just kind of organizing all the things that I'm hearing in my head that I want to get out. And I could give it to him and he'll look at it and be like, oh yeah, I know what this is, which is crazy to me. It's a total different language. So although I wasn't formally trained, it's helped me a lot in my communication.
One of the interesting things Lauren told me, I never thought about it. And there's a lot of us like Barzine and probably, you know, Tom's been playing his whole life too. It's like, and musicians, it's like we learned a language before we learned how to read.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know, and it's universal. You know, looking at notes, it's a universal language, and we're learning it at such a young age, which is cool. And and I mean, I think as a guitar player, to switch gears, you know, like now's the best time to be a guitar player. The amount of information and educating, I mean, the internet has just blown it all up.
Right.
You can learn anything.
Right.
Sure.
On YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
We
crazy.
still reference it. Like, how does someone play that?
Yeah.
I mean,
And you're like, how to play,
Yeah.
yes.
Exactly. There it is. Yep.
It's pretty wild. I mean,
Now, would you say, though, now you play more by ear than you do reading? Yeah.
yes.
Although you know how to read music. right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So when I decided to play guitar, I was going into high school. I mean, it's so cheesy. It's one of these like moments I'll never forget in my lifetime was there was someone in town who
We all remember those cheesy moments.
right. So why not share 'em for everyone? So it's funny. A couple things happened. So when I was a kid, my uncles, both of them gave me Van Halen cassettes. And I used to have this Panasonic boombox in the living room and had the EQ across the top and it lit up, right?
Sure.
And I would sit and watch it. and just crank that thing up. And I used to time jumping off the furniture when like David Lee Roth would say jump, and my parents would just be yelling and screaming at me. And we used to go over to my uncle's house, and he's a huge vinyl collector, and he had the old, is it the Allegro speakers? They were made by, was that Sony or something? I don't, they're huge, right? And the cops would be called because he's like cranking Frampton Comes Alive. And I'm like grasping in my head, this guitar's talking. What's going on? So all this stuff is like always in my head. And then when I was in 8th grade, the local high school came by and they did like a little tour with the jazz band. And this kid came out front and he did Star Spangled Banner on the electric guitar. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And like in a small town, you don't get candy like that to see. And I go, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to buy a guitar and I'm going to play, but I'm going to do it on my own terms, right? I'm just going to figure it out. So I baled hay for the local farmers. I did whatever I could. I didn't know what to buy. I bought it was a Billy T Maverick Series Washburn. It was like a $200 guitar and a little 20-watt amp and a Zoom 505 pedal. Didn't know how to tune it. I just, that sounds good. I just learned that way. And then I remember going into high school, meeting that fellow musician that inspired me to play. I broke a string. I didn't know what to do. I was like dead in the water. I was like, what happens now? Yeah. I'm like, can you please restring this? And he like strummed. He's like, what are you doing? Like it was completely, because I didn't know how to tune it. Right. And he's like, this is how you tune it. And he tuned it. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this. Like he showed me one time how to make a bar chord. I'm like, forget it. Yeah. I literally set it to the side for a while. And then he's like, hey, you need to listen to, I always said, oh, Eddie Van Halen is the greatest guitar player alive because that was just ingrained in my head from the cassette, right? From when I was 4 years old, just hearing, Van Halen 1 was just mind-blowing stuff. It's like alien guitar at the time, right? So he's like, you need to listen to Hendrix. You need to check out Stevie Ray. I'm like, who's this Stevie Ray guy? And I'm like, whoa, this is it. And a lot of people my age, we all had that same experience, right? Everyone was inspired by those, right? Those Texas guys and then like Hendrix. Sure. Like I didn't even know. I thought I used to watch professional wrestling when I was little, and Hulk Hogan used to come out to Voodoo Child. I'm like, that's a cool song. I didn't even know who it was. and like I had to find out where the song came from. Right. And then my brother bought me Experience Hendrix for Christmas when I was a freshman in high school. And I was like, where has this been my whole life? It's wild. Yeah. And that stuff will always it'll stand the test of time. Right. So
now you can Shazam it,
I know. Yeah, right. That's what I needed at the time. But it's just crazy. Like we were saying earlier, the amount of information musicians can now acquire because of the internet. It's just an endless, you can go down rabbit holes, regarding gear or musicians. Yeah. It's just, it's insane. Yeah. It's just insane.
So then when you went to college or when did you start to actually take lessons or?
I never took lessons. I still said I was going to teach myself. Okay. So the couple of years in high school were tough after I figured out how to tune the guitar. So, I still played sax in the band and that, whatever, but I just was doing my own thing with the guitar and listening to all this music. So when I got into college, I met a bass player down the hallway and he played with the band. And, a side story with that is I played with him and another drummer who happens to be the drummer now for, what's his name? Cole Swindell. He's like a top 40 country artist. And now Chris, the drummer, lives in Nashville and it's been on Letterman and everything. I'm like, I used to play with him. Yeah. It's like, no, you didn't. Well, here's a grainy video on YouTube. Yes, I did. So, but proof. Yes. Right. But the great thing about college, and granted it was, just a state school, is you can look at it. There was always two ways of thought with music people. And this is my theory, and some people probably disagree and some won't, is there's people will put themselves in a group of people who are better than them, and they will force their own hand to become better. And that's what happened with me as a saxophone player. Mm-hmm. I was terrified. I'm like, these guys sitting next to me, I have no business being here. So it was like, you better get your stuff together. And then the same thing with guitar. I met, a few people here and there, and it's like, you ping ideas off of each other. And, you know, there was times where I spent hours at college putting the saxophone down and just working on the guitar. And that's where the learning curve, the bell took off. So,
well, if you played cello at age 4, right? It's not, so you must say you had some musical training there,
correct.
And reading music.
Sure.
Then, right?
So like with the guitar, I could read a chart. So there was times that I sat in for like jazz trios or stuff, or jazz combos and stuff like that. I could read a chart and know where the head of the song was and the bridge and the vamp and all that stuff.
Okay.
But there was stuff that was thrown in front of me that was like, okay, I need to sit down and really figure this stuff out, especially in jazz. Jazz is a whole other language.
Oh yeah.
It's
yes.
It's like, I always get really frustrated when people say they're a blues jazz player and they're really just a blues player, because it's like, hey, if you go to a jazz club and you're a blues player, you're waiting for 1, 4, and 5, and then the rest of the time everything is just completely, you know, and it's hard. It's a total other discipline. It really is. So I stay away from it. It's too hard.
Jazz, they have 9s and 10s and 12s. And
Yeah, right. I thought it stopped after 7.
yeah.
So, what kind of guitar are you playing out with the band? What kind of gear you have?
Too much, Lauren will say. Yeah. We got too much gear. It's we got a Les Paul, a Strat, and a Telly. So there you go.
You got it covered. Yeah.
Got it covered pretty much. And what's the one thing? Lauren was busting my chops the other day. She's like, wait a minute. When you're bringing 2 amps to the show, you're running them both at the same time. And she started laughing at me. She's like, you're such a nerd, because she's like, I thought you were switching in between. I'm like, no, I'm blending them together. I want the wall of sound. So. Yes.
She's sitting there shaking her head. Yes. In disbelief. Yes.
Yeah. So definitely a nerd with the gear, like most of us. And it's not a good time. There's too much cool stuff out there. I just got to stay away from. So,
yeah.
And what kind of harmonica you play there? Electric and acoustic?
I got a different variety. I got a little bit of Seidel or Seidels, and I also play Golden Melodies. But they're the Golden Melodies are Horner, and Seidels are their own
Right.
brand and stuff.
So how did the name come about?
Almost took out her nose.
It was a vote. So I really liked two band names, and I felt like it was the appropriate time to change the name that we used to be in college and kind of graduate, right? Because now we have Tony, now we have Andy, and it just felt like the right time. We were writing original music. Let's become something more than this college band that kind of was for the past. So I really wanted it to be Mama Tried. I thought that name was awesome, and I also petitioned for Midnight Down, but ultimately I wanted it to be a band decision. So we had a vote. And so the Midnight Special, there's actually a story behind it. Yes, it's a song that CCR does, and no, we are not a CCR cover band, but it's kind of a neat story about, penitentiary down south, I believe in Texas, where in the late 1800s, if you were an inmate there and the train passed by and the light from the Midnight Special shone in your cell, then it meant that your woman was on the train with your pardon. So it's kind of cool. And we like that Southern, like real gritty sound. And, we also blend in a little bit of, to John's point, the Texas blues, but that really swampy sound is kind of our home base. And we thought that was a neat little story to tell. So the name is relatively new. I want to say we've only been using it now for probably less than a year, and it seems to be working out. I mean, I haven't had too much confusion with, well, do you know that song? So, so far so good, but that's kind of where the name came from.
What was the name, if you don't mind me asking?
The previous name, The Normal Street Band. And the reason why I was called that was because these boys all shared a house on Normal Street, and they were a bunch of musicians. Everyone lived in the same house. Did Barzine live in the same house? No. Okay. So Barzine didn't, but Tom and John did, along with a handful of others. So that was the deep meaning behind that name.
Like I said, I can't write music nor pick a band.
Right. Yeah. He's got technical ability, just not the creative
It's
side.
not easy coming up with a name. Names are not. I mean, coming up with a good name is tough.
There's only about 100 midnight specials out there.
Yeah, we learned that the hard way. So after that, we're Googling. We're like, damn, they're out in Rhode Island and they're a big band. Shit. People are going to think that that's us. But I definitely don't play the trombone. So we had to figure out how to get clever with our URL and all that. So
You guys might. I don't know if you might be too young to remember a TV show called Midnight
no,
Special.
oh yeah, oh we love it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, so he didn't mention this, but John also played in Macomb's premier funk band for years called Flung Bung, and so he did all of the Chicago and Lesbian Seagull and all that stuff. So we love funk too. So we know that show very well, and we watched it before. So
I like that name. I like that name.
That's not radio friendly.
yeah, he didn't pick that name. He kind of was brought in on that as it was going.
I had a PA, so I became a member of the band.
Yet you sang all the songs. So
So what kind of shows you got coming up?
well, we have a small little gig coming up in Indiana, I believe, beginning of May. We decided to cancel all of our shows until then because of the coronavirus. I'm just kidding. We actually never had anything scheduled, but it seems like it would have been anyway.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
In Cherville, I see.
Yeah, Cherville. So Tom, the drummer who now lives in Indiana, got us connected with the folks there, and then we'll be moving on to a lot of the Ottawa and Seneca areas because we do really well with bikers. We like, the biker rock, and then they seem to enjoy it. So we're going to go down and do Fat Daddies, Dockside. Couldn't get in the Psycho Silo this year, but hopefully for 2021. And then we're at the law office early August as well. So that'll be probably a really good show because we'll be able to do all of our original music, which is what I'm so excited about.
Very cool. And where do we find you social media wise or website or whatever?
So if you use the keywords "The Midnight Special Band," you should be able to find the website and the Facebook page. So we had to add "the" and the band at the end,
Okay.
just to make sure we separated ourselves from all the other midnight specials out there.
And what about on Facebook? Facebook too?
Yep, same thing.
same thing
The
on
Midnight Special Band on Facebook.
Alrighty then. Well, then we'll have to get out and see you guys. I frequent Fat Daddies and Boondocks and those
Good.
places. So
We're excited. It'll be our first time for all of those venues. So, oh yeah, Tony has played there before. Tony.
Fat Daddies has like a 1 pound hamburger.
Are you?
Is that the place we stopped at after playing golf that one time?
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know anyone there, and we've been doing a lot of reaching out, and it'd be so much easier if you had a booking agent to deal with all this. But I swear to God, they'd fire us in 2 minutes because of the schedules with the rest of the band members are so insane. No, I'm going to be at the Arnold Classic that weekend. No, I have marching band. I have show choir. It's just like, and then even myself, like summer's shot for me because I work at the racetrack. So we're always busy with something going on at Route 66 Raceway, or we've got our NASCAR weekend, which occupies a good amount of time. So yeah, the scheduling is kind of crazy, which is why we usually shoot for one gig a month at this point.
I see you said Tom was a school teacher, or where in Cherville, or
No, I don't know. It's South Side. I don't know what school district exactly, but yeah, he teaches some young kids, and I want to say like 3rd grade through 5th grade. He's a music educator, and then Barzine was a music educator as well, and now he became dean of a school district out west or western suburbs. So, yeah, and like I said, we met through the music program where we.
I bet he runs a tight ship. Huh?
Oh my gosh! Just, if you YouTube Barzine Waziri, there's some terrifying video of this guy like bench pressing 1,000 pounds, and when I say 1,000 pounds, I'm not joking. I'm like it's just. But he's a gentle giant, and it's so funny when he's carrying our gear in because I think people think that he's security, and then when he puts on like a jazz 5-string elite bass, it looks like it's made by like play school.
Yeah.
It's tiny. It's hilarious.
I remember seeing. I can't think of his name now. The Mississippi Queen.
Oh, Leslie West.
Leslie West.
Yeah.
Leslie West. Yeah, I mean, this was
He's
back
a
in
big-
the early '70s, and
big guy.
And he had it looked like a Mickey Mouse guitar on him. Yeah, 'cause he was
Playing
such
like
a
the
big
Gibson Jr.
Yeah.
with the single P90. And
Yeah.
it's like, I love Leslie West Mountain.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that stuff's right in the wheelhouse too.
dude. Oh yeah.
We do Mississippi Queens on the set list, so
nice.
we love it.
Nice.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out today. And
Avoiding the coronavirus.
yes,
Thank you.
we'll try and get out to some of your shows.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
That was Lauren, Jonathan, and Tony from the band Midnight Special, and we'll have to get out and see them sometime.
Definitely. They're playing some pretty cool bars, Fat Daddy's and Boondocks. You and I stopped at Fat Daddy's one time after golfing.
That's right. Yes, we did. Yes,
Got
we
that
did.
1 pound burger.
Yeah, I don't think I had that though, did I? I don't remember what I
I don't
had.
think
there.
either one of us did. That thing's huge.
Yeah.
But,
Of course, after golfing, I was slimming down. I had to keep my boyish figure
That's right. Yeah. After burning all them calories on.
on the golf course. Yeah,
exactly.
cussing. I was cussing.
That's right. So they'll be out and about playing some nice venues. You got to check them out. Great stories from them and how it all got started, and just the whole development. I mean, so many people we've been talking to. They start out playing cellos, violins, saxophones, and then just become rock stars.
That's right. That's right. This the podcast was brought to you by Noteflight app, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, Noteflight. You can send us a check if you'd like.
That's right.
But as always, though, this
But I'm gonna have to check that out. I am gonna have to check out Noteflight.
I already looked at it. So,
Oh, cool.
but as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 and the Road to Rock Radio. Check us out every Monday on the roadtorockradio.net at 6 o'clock. They feature one of our podcasts. And check out the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum website. Sign up to be a charter member today.
Okay, I will do that. I'm already a member.
Yeah, so am I. I'm telling the other people.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Chicago.